Hello everybody and welcome back to Average Guy Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at the Uning 4K Wi-Fi action camera. Now this thing was the one that I bought to go on the Syma X8C. Turns out I don't use it nearly as much for the Syma X8C as I do for my other family vlog channel. But it's a great camera, and it's the one thing that really surprised me. I paid $35 for this thing on Amazon, and it came with everything that you see here. It came with all the accessories, the camera, the waterproof case, everything. Now, as I said in the Syma X8C review, the 4K is not quite 4K, but it does do 1080p absolutely outstandingly. It's a little larger than a GoPro when it comes to thickness here, but it really is still just about as small as a GoPro, and all of these cases and everything else, they do mount to standard GoPro accessories. It does do great video. It is 170-degree field of view, so it is quite large. I find that to be a little annoying from time to time, and unlike some of these Chinese action cameras, this one you cannot adjust the field of view, but you do have adjustable white balance, so that's really nice. Now I got a lot of sample footage we're going to look at later. I'll try not to make the video too long, but like I said, I've used this thing to record hours and hours and hours of video, and it has never let me down. Plus, the parts are really cheap for it. I picked up a 2-pack of extra batteries with an external charger and a USB cable for like $10 on Amazon. So you can't beat it. It's a great deal, especially if you're wanting something that's going to function like a GoPro, but you don't want to pay the $500 for a GoPro. Now, I own 2 of these, and the reason I own 2 of these was the first one was such a great value. I could really use the second one. They have this awesome time-lapse feature on them. They have a really good slow motion feature on them, and I love that. And we'll see that when we get to the sample video here at the end. But real quick, we'll just go over the function of the camera, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the camera. Now, you can see here, this is the Uning 4K camera. It is just pretty much a rectangle. It does have a 2-inch LCD screen here on the back with navigation buttons here on the side, up and down. The up button turns on your Wi-Fi, and the down button turns off the audio when you're not in a menu. So be careful with that down button. I've made that mistake a few times, and it is kind of detrimental if you are trying to record something with audio. But the mic quality on this thing is not outstanding either. If there's one thing I could fix about this camera, it would be the microphone. When it comes to shooting stuff that I'm going to need audio for, I don't use this camera for audio. Even if you throw it in your video editing software and crank that audio up, it's still barely usable. So you need to be close to this camera if you want to collect audio from it. And inside the case, don't even count on it. All you're going to hear is movement when the case brushes up against something. It's just virtually useless audio inside of the case. So if that's a deal breaker for you, you're probably going to need to go with GoPro. But up here you have a power button. Up here is your OK button. This is also your record and picture button. And those are the only buttons on it. On this side you have a mini HDMI, a mini USB, or what would be your standard Android charger, and an SD card slot. I picked up this 32 gig SD card by Samsung. It's an Evo Select on Amazon for $10. So that you can't beat either. You'll long press this button here on the front to turn it on, and you'll hear it make a sound. There's the screen, and the blue light comes on to let you know that it's powered on. Alright, so now that it's powered on, we start up here in video mode. So right here you can see that we just have the viewfinder showing us what the camera is seeing, and as you can see, it's a nice and wide angle. This close to all of this stuff, I can see all the way over here to this tripod mount adapter, and all the way over here to this last accessory. So nice 170-degree view angle. But you have right here the option to do 4K video at 30 frames per second. You also have the option to do 16 megapixel photos, and I do believe this has a Sony imaging sensor in it. So as we all know, it's a software that really helps out the imaging sensors, but the imaging sensor is very good. And it is a 16 megapixel sensor. You also have the option for slow motion. Now slow motion can be done in 720p at 120 frames per second, or 1080p at 60 frames per second. Other than that, you have the videos that you've taken with it. I took this one earlier today for my family channel. I'll drop a link to that family channel in the description below. I have a lot of this action camera footage that I use in there, and I don't know, let's make it fun. If you go watch that channel, let me know in the comments if you notice the action camera being used in any of those. But after that, we get to our settings menu. Now, the settings menu, if we press OK up here at the top, we will go down and see the options for video. So for video, we have video resolution, and we can click the OK button to switch this, and we can shoot in 4K, 30 frames per second, 2.7K at 30 frames per second, which is what the DJI Phantom shoots in. You can shoot in 720p, 30 frames per second, 720p at 60 frames per second, 720p at 120 frames per second, 1080p at 30 frames per second, and 1080p at 60 frames per second. So I tend to shoot in 4K. I don't know why. When I'm not on a quad, and when I'm on a quad, I'll shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second, but 4K seems to do pretty good. So I haven't had any issues with the 4K on it, and it gives you obviously your best video quality. But the 1080p still great, so if you have a video editor that can't handle over 1080, you're not going to lose much image quality by switching down to 1080p. So other than that, you get options such as recording sound, which while recording can be turned off by pressing the down arrow over here on the side. Time-lapse options, you can select that by pressing OK, and close means off in this case. You can do half second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, all the way through to 60-second time lapses. So what that means is every 60 seconds it will take a still image and loop it together in a video for you. I find that anything 2 seconds and under really gives you a good looking time lapse. Anything 5 seconds and over starts to get a little choppy, but if you're more experienced in time lapses than myself, those may be great options for you. Other than that, you have loop recording. If you want to use this as a dash cam on your car, this will give you the option to record 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute videos, and then it will stop and save that. Then when you run out of space on your SD card, it will delete the oldest video and continue on recording. So right here we have slow motion. You can set that to 720p 120 frames per second or 1080p 60 frames per second. I usually shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second for slow motion. You really do get a great image, and there's very little distortion, but I was shooting in 720p because I needed it to go a lot slower. Now that's our video options. You can come over here to the camera options, which are fairly simple. Photo resolution, you have options to shoot in 16 megapixel, 12 megapixel, 8 megapixel, 5 megapixel, or 2 megapixels. You also have the option to go do a timed photo, so you can do a 3-second timer all the way through a 20-second timer. Auto, which is close. It can take a photo every 3, 10, or 15 seconds. And then you have drama shot, which I believe, yeah, it's 3 photos a second, 5 photos a second, or 10 photos a second, so pretty much burst shot. And by pressing mode on the front here, which is what I've been pressing to navigate between menus and options, we have the overall camera settings, which will be exposure. Right here we have the option to change our exposure. Our white balance, we can set it to auto or any of the standard white balance options. You have image rotation in case you want to turn the camera upside down. We have driving mode, which I'm not entirely sure what that does. I'm not going to use it as a dash cam, so I never read that part of the instructions, but I'm assuming it helps you out with using it as a dash cam and Wi-Fi. So this is a Wi-Fi camera, which means you can hook it right up to your phone through their application that you can download from iOS or Android. And it's a solid application. I'm not going to call it a great application, but it's a good application. And it works for me just about every time. And from that application, you get the options to start and stop video, take pictures, change all the settings that we're looking at here, and do it all without having to touch the camera. So that's nice. And the distance on it is probably about 10 meters max before you really start losing that latency in the video. Right here you have light source frequency, so you can adjust light source frequencies from 50 Hertz to 60 Hertz. I've always left that on auto. LED indicator light, which is this little blue light right here. You do have the option to turn that off. And auto screensaver, which is why the screen keeps turning black on me, I have that set to 30 seconds. So you can actually turn that off or adjust it out to 10 seconds or 20 seconds. But 30 seconds is good for me. If you're going to be recording video where you're behind this thing and you're going to be controlling it, then you might want to turn that off. It'll make things a lot easier. Auto shutdown is an important feature. I always make sure that's closed because I did make the mistake a few times of having that on, and even if you're recording, it turns off at this designated time of 5, 3, or 1 minute. So double check that and make sure it's closed. Time watermark is just a time and date stamp. And then we come over to the overall settings, which is language, date and time, format your SD card, reset to factory settings, and the firmware version. Now it does support multiple languages, as you can see here. I'm not going to tell you what all of them are because I don't know what half of them are, but we are in English. So, and then once you come over here, this is to exit your menus and go back to the video thing. So what we'll do is a real quick video test right here. So to start recording, I'm just going to press the OK button up here. And as you can see down there, the timer has started with their little red blinking light. And we are recording. And let's just kind of take a look around and see what's going on to record this video. This microphone right here is going to be reviewed here in the near future. I picked this microphone up for $17. The stand was $20, and the little audio recorder that's recording all of this audio, I picked that up for something like $16. And then here we go. Here's the camera we're shooting with. It is a Canon Sx40 Hs. I do really like this camera. It does not do well in low light, but overall it is a good camera. Now, as you can tell, there is no image stabilization on this, and it is a little shaky at times, but with a steady hand you can get a solid shot out of it. So let's go ahead and jump into the accessories. We have the waterproof case, which Uning claims to be good for 90 feet in depth. I have not tested the waterproof function out, short of having it out in the rain, and it does work well for that. So you get that. You get this little clip here, which I'm not really good with these accessories. I don't know what they're all for, but I use this. I'll clip it onto the bill of my hat or something like that, maybe my shirt or my waistband on my pants, and you can attach the camera. You attach it to the tripod mount, which this is the tripod mount. You attach it to the tripod mount by just snapping it in there, and it takes a little bit to get it in there, but it does just slide right in there. There it goes. And you can just snap the camera into the tripod mount like so. Now everything's a pretty tight fit, so that's good for me. It gives me a little sense of security, and it's not going anywhere. But if you want to pop this clip off, you can see here I actually turned on the Wi-Fi, but pop the clip off, you can still see the screen through the tripod mount, and it is universal, so you can screw it on from the top or the bottom, which is a nice little feature. So setting that stuff aside, you'll get an extra back door for your waterproof case. This tends to come with all of these little Chinese action cameras. In fact, almost all of these accessories are normal. You'll get a lens cleaning cloth, a couple of zip ties. I'm not sure for what, but zip ties are always handy to have, so I do keep those in my camera bag. A couple of helmet straps, which can be used for many other things. So if you want to tie it off to a pole or something like that for a time lapse, these are great to use and have. You'll get some connectors and stuff to do, you know, however you want to put these on here and do angles with them, or bends wherever you're going to connect it to. You get a bike mount or a handlebar mount for a bike, or I don't know if you'd put this on a motorcycle. I don't think it's wide enough, but one of these. You get this thing here, which has some 3M adhesive tape on it, so you can stick it where you need to. And then of course the adapter here on the bottom of the case just slides right in. Now these do fit, like I said, regular GoPro accessories, so if you find some GoPro accessories you like, it will work with those too. So that's nice. You also get some extra 3M adhesive pads and a security cable, so you can tie this off to, let's say, the case and then to something else in case the camera were in a situation where it may fall, and you can save your camera using this cable. You get your standard USB charging cable. I do think it works as a data transfer cable as well. And then you get a couple of other little pieces here. You get a little 90-degree adapter, and this is what is on the bottom of that right now. Now, I have two of these cameras, so there's probably some multiples out there, but if you go to Amazon, and I'll drop the link to the camera in the description below, but if you go to Amazon, you'll see they have a description of all of the stuff that you get with the camera. And like I said, it is quite a bit of stuff that you get with the camera. It's a heck of a deal. I paid $35 for it, so I wasn't expecting much from it, and I'm still constantly impressed by this thing. Like I said, the only thing I would fix would be the audio. But that's a very, very small thing for me because I have lots of other options when it comes to recording audio. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoy the footage you're about to see. We'll try to test out every function of this camera here. So I'll drop a label on the bottom or top of the screen and let you know what we're recording in and what this video was, if it was taken in 720p or 1080p or slow motion. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Come back after the first of the year. I'm going to not be posting videos over the Christmas weekend or New Year's weekend. Christmas weekend, of course, I'm going to be spending time with my family, and then my job is going to have me work quite a bit after or around the New Year's holiday, so I'll be a little too busy to post videos, but I will pick back up the first weekend of the new year. So until then, I will see you guys. Have a happy holiday. Subscribe, like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it. Let me know what I can fix. Let me know what I can improve.